today. So every day we start fresh because we can't affect the past, but we damn sure can make a difference today.
Welcome to episode 61 of Shop Talk. It's Kari.
And Jennifer.
And last episode, we had discussed secrets and lies with both Mekia and Eric, like in the episode. And so this time around, we're covering another show that they, we're both in an episode together. And Eric also had like a brief like arc in this show as well called The Mentalist. So that is what we're going to be discussing today.
Unfortunately, Eric and Mekia weren't in the same scene, unlike
I know,
I
thought they were.
yeah,
I got like really excited and then I was like, oh, it's the other guy.
but we also had like a longer scene with Eric, so it was
yeah.
good.
And I mean, like Mekia's like lines that she did have were like good.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed her.
Yeah.
So
we do have a little bit of news. I mean, it's obvious, but it's September now, so that means it's season premiere month for the Rookie and series premiere for the Rookie Feds. And when you're listening to this, we're like, what, 2 weeks out?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
premiere?
when they're listening to it. Yeah.
Yeah, because this episode, we'll be like a little less than 2 weeks out from the Rookie premiere, and then the Rookie Feds will be 2 weeks out. So that's exciting. We're so close, but yet we're so far away.
I know. I'm like still waiting for like things to draw, like the poster, like other photos, and just
because we're recording this early, so like right now we haven't seen promo photos, we haven't seen the poster, but like other shows have released their posters and promo photos. So I'm just like, where is it? Like, give it to me. So we did get kind of close with one promo photo. Like I thought that it was gonna be the article that dropped all of them, and it wasn't, so it was a little bummed, but it's fine.
Yeah, it was definitely because like TV Line did the exclusive exclusive photo of Chenford undercover, so that's fun. They're going to Vegas, which apparently people like predicted, and I didn't really. I just knew because I was like, there's no way they intentionally had him say, or like Tim, I mean, like, what happens undercover stays undercover.
Yeah.
If it's not a reference to like what happens in Vegas, stays in Vegas kind of thing.
But I didn't think that they would go to Vegas. Like, I don't know why. I just didn't. So then they've had to have worked with like Vegas PD to get jurisdiction in there, because even though they're undercover, like they still have to have jurisdiction in the area.
Oh yeah, that's true. Wow. I needed to think first. I had to remember that Vegas was not in California. I swear I'm awake. It's fine. It's in Nevada. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I don't, well, maybe like if since they're going with Angela, right? Like that's what the article, like kind of the article like implied. Maybe she like kind of does that like legwork for them because like they gotta focus.
Yeah, I would
try to focus.
I would think Angela and Gray would do the legwork for them. Like they're going undercover. That's enough that they have to do. So
yeah, of course, judging by that, like I'm calling it a promo photo. Like Lucy's like a badass, and
I know
Tim's just like shock and awe. Like he's fine.
Also, okay, so to me, Lucy doesn't look, I mean, she looks undercover, like, because we know that she's supposed to be, but like, she doesn't have like tattoos. Like, Tim's got like tattoos and, his hair gelled back. Like, he looks the most undercover, and to me, Lucy doesn't. But,
well, I mean, like, this is like, I mean, I don't know, like, because I know she'll have like the nose ring.
And the nails and
and like nails and stuff. I don't know. I mean, like if I didn't know that like it was like, Melissa in that photo or whatever, I wouldn't, just because of the like straight hair is like really like a cool move. I don't know. I think it's just because maybe like the first time we saw her, her doppelganger that like she'll be going undercover as, she had like the like braid, like the teased out like braid hairdo that was like really outrageous, and then like the makeup was like a lot more than, I mean, they still have her have like the kind of exaggerated like on her eyes and stuff, but not as much like in the season 5 trailer as they did for 422.
Yeah. And I know that like the rookie will do like a previously on, but I'm not even relying on that. I will have to go back and rewatch like doppelgangers and like them prepping for undercover because it's just gonna be so good.
Yeah. And I feel like maybe, I don't know, because I know they had her in like a sort of like plaid in like 422 for that like 5-second scene.
Yeah.
So maybe since it's like hopefully gonna be like longer scenes of like Tim in the like plaid shirt, that maybe they were like, okay, we gotta put like Lucy in something else.
Yeah.
So it's not like I mean, not that there's anything it's like too much, but that'd be kind of funny if they both like did plaid, but just like it kind of would be a little
yeah.
much.
Yeah, it would be a lot. I don't know. I mean, Eric said that we're gonna like what they've cooked up for 501. So hey, I'm trusting him. I know that the rookie has our backs. And I need to like immerse myself more into the show after what has been this week.
I know, yeah,
this
week has been rough
of September. Yeah.
For us in other fandom ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but like Eric's been like, you know, on that whole like undercover shtick for like a year now. Yeah. So it's like, you know,
I mean, he literally manifested it.
Yeah, like the man knows what he's talking about. Yeah. So we just gotta have, you know, faith in him. And
I mean, he manifested Tim Bradford getting a sister.
Yeah.
And then now he's manifested them going undercover. Like whatever he is doing is working. And I'm gonna need him to keep manifesting. Manifest more. Like
I still like want to bank on them giving us like a behind the scenes, like I want a selfie of Eric and Melissa both in their undercover because I can't like come. It just has to. That would just make my whole entire life. Like I'm manifesting that. Like there you go.
Like if it comes the day of the premiere, like the day of season 5, I'm gonna literally lose it. I will. And I almost need the caption to be like, I don't know, like their undercover aliases, just so that we know if it's Sonia or Saba.
Oh yeah. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. That just cracks me up though, that like
they don't even know.
Melissa, that like they don't know. It's so funny. Like I don't know. I also hope they like live tweet. Like that was fun last season. Cause like even like Alyssa like live tweeted with everyone and like she hasn't like since then. So like it'd kind of be fun.
I don't know. I feel like that Malaric will come on like after the episode and just like troll.
Hope so. Can always count on them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another piece of news. I mean, it's not really news, but the rookie Fedscast is like BFFs already, and they're so close. They're like I just love seeing their content. Like they celebrated Brit's like engagement.
Yeah, and like through like a bachelorette, like quote unquote, like party for her. It was so fun.
On a bus. So it's like, where are you guys going? I need to know why you guys are filming like on a beach, like just all over the place.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Do you want to take the next piece of news? I mean, you kind of already hinted at it, but
yeah, I like jumped around, unintentionally. This is what happens when I'm like a little tired and a little off my game here. But anyway, yes. So as I had mentioned, like TV Line like dropped the like exclusive photo of like Chenford undercover. They're in like Vegas, presumably. And Lucy's like seems to be like pulling a girl like by her hair. And Tim's just kind of like standing there like looking at the situation, like I'm gonna assume like maybe he was gonna do something and then she kind of like had to step in, because that's like what it alludes to in like the like small like write up in the article, like alludes to someone maybe recognizing Tim.
People were also speculating that it's the same girl that is around when Tim is like pistol whipped. which I think it could be because it's like same wardrobe.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just very curious because it like said like Tim. It didn't say like Jake or not that they would say Dim in the article, but you know, like so it like specifically said Tim. So I'm just kind of wondering if it's like, of course I don't know that because like he's in like character, so maybe it we would like recognize and be like it's Jake, but I don't know. I want to know what kind of happens.
Maybe like she heard Lucy call him Tim.
Yeah.
You know, because we hear Tim say like you have to keep your head in the game.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe. I'm just like, I'm so curious. And I'm just like, where's the end of September? Because honestly, like everything's teeing up now and like everything's getting ready. And I'm just like, I am ready for my shows to come back. So
yeah. Well, and like people had like paralleled it to like the I guess season 3 mention when Lucy was like, I have a hair pull technique I've been dying to try. And it's like, okay, season 5, she's trying that out. So
yeah.
It works.
Yeah. TV Line also had what I'm calling as an episode description. I know for a couple of other shows, like they had parts of their episode descriptions in like a similar article. So there hasn't been anything official from ABC, but we've got this. And it's Officer Nolan once again comes face to face with the serial killer Rosalind Dyer. Lucy and Tim, meanwhile, find themselves working undercover with Detective Angela Lopez and the Las Vegas PD to nab the leaders of a major criminal enterprise. So it's kind of vague, but I mean, it gives us the base. It gives us the highlights because we know Rosalind's coming back. We know Tim and Angela have moments. So, and they're going undercover. So I mean, it's kind of implied that they would work with Angela. And then there was an episode title that was that floated around, and 501 is called Double Down. So that's interesting. And we still don't have news on the rookie feds. So I'm interested to see how what that one looks like. So
yeah, definitely.
But we can go ahead and dive right into the Mentalist because it's a long episode and it was a lot. Let's just say that. I have like a few, like 2 different synopses in here, like one for the episode and one for the show as a whole, just because like even the one for the show was a lot. So do you want to take us through the one for the show?
Sure. So for the show anyway, it's like Patrick Jane is an independent consultant for the CBI, which is the California Bureau of Investigation. It's based in Sacramento, California. And while he's not like a police officer or anything, he's like using his skills from his former career as a successful but fraudulent like psychic medium to help the CBI agents solve murders. And the reason for his involvement is to track down a serial killer by the name of Red John, who killed his wife and daughter. And Patrick's kind of a con man. He abandoned his career and like is teaming up with the CBI to help them solve crimes. And he mainly focuses on cases involving Red John or like his copycats. But as the show progresses, the focus shifts from like general cases to solely this like mission he has to catch the serial killer. And it aired from, wow, that's a lot of seasons. Goodness, I didn't realize it had 7 seasons. Yeah, that's crazy. It aired from 2008 to 2015 on CBS with 151 total episodes. So obviously it's Simon Baker's like Patrick Jane, Robin Tunney, Tim Kang, Amanda Rigetti, Brockman Dunbar, and like a lot more different like guest stars and other like recurring characters. And it's a police procedural mystery and like a crime drama all in one. So
this one definitely felt more like a police procedural than it feels like SVU does. Like it was just very like step by step. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I guess they kind of call like the other shows that we watch procedurals, but yet it didn't. They don't feel like The Mentalist did. And I don't know if it's because it was from like 08 to 15. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was interesting though. Yeah. But for this specific episode, Patrick, Jane, and the CBI unit investigate a seemingly unsuccessful attempt at a gas station bombing. And when it becomes clear that Jane's nemesis, the serial killer Red John, is involved, Jane and Lisbon reveal that there is a mole within the CBI working for Red John, and that their ex-boss, Madeline Hightower, now is in hiding. Who's now in hiding is innocent of the murder. While Rigsby, Cho, and Van Pelt attempt to protect Hightower long enough for her to turn herself in, Jane executes an elaborate scheme that could expose Red John's mole and potentially draw out the notorious murderer himself. And this episode was part of a 2-hour season finale airing in 2011. So, like, this episode description wasn't necessarily what we saw in part one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Gas station bombing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot. So we'll kind of just like run through the episode, like just like a quick overview of it. And even then it was like hard to outline that because I was like, wait, what's important and what's not? But Alan Dinkler was using a bomb to rob his employer, a cash emotion store. And he like stops by a gas station, and we don't know why at first. Like it all makes sense at the end of the episode, but we don't really know why at first. And you can tell that he's just kind of like on edge, and I mean, he obviously has something like wrong that he needs to take care of.
Like he looks distraught.
Yeah, like he's like writing help on the window. And like gets out of his car and like sees cops, and then like the cops come up and he's yelling like no police because he has the bomb strapped to him. And then he meets with the gas station attendant and the bomb then goes off. So once the CBI is there and Sacramento PD, they find out that he was using the bomb to rob his employer, the Cash and Motion store, and it's a loan and money transfer chain, just like the payday loans. And it's a cash business that has less security than a bank. So he ended up getting away with 50 grand until he stopped for gas and Sacramento PD units spotted him. And Agent Lisbon, who I like ended up really liking her. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because like she was a female in charge, it seemed like. But she was like, lucky for them, he only killed himself. And Patrick Jane wonders why she's there, but the director wanted CBI presence because of the media. And so the CBI believes that Dinkler was the victim there, even though he demanded that he was led into the vault. And they think that he was abducted and put into the bomb jacket and then like coerced into committing the crime. So the bomb squad like confirmed that the device was controlled by a remote, and Bertram, who's like, he's not like the sergeant, but he's like the director. He rules out that it's not terrorism, but because the person behind it wants money, but the plan didn't work only through bad luck. So they think that the perp will try again. And he's like, it wasn't a terrorist act, but it was an isolated incident for now, at least. And CBI will be in charge of a swift and thorough investigation. Like that's how he wants it conveyed to the media. So they find out more about the bomb, that it's hard to acquire and very deadly, and that it's usually in human bombs like this one. Like there's bomb bearings and other parts to create damage to bystanders, which we did see in the aftermath of the gas station blowing up. Like there was, I mean, the characters that we did see that were like kind of around Alan Dinkler, like they were okay. They had like some minor injuries or whatever, but and then in like this case, like it was just a deadly 10-foot radius around the bomb. So then the other CBI agents are like going through what they have with Lisbon, like his car, his phone. And so she kind of like divvies up the assignments. Like Rigsby and Van Pelt are going to go talk to his coworkers, and then her and Jane are going to go, kind of figure out some other things. So we follow Rigsby and Van Pelt to talk to their coworkers, and they approach Tracy, who is played by Mekia, to the front window, and they ask to speak with her boss, like, because it turns out that he's already speaking with another agent, who is Patrick Jane. And he doesn't work with the CBI, but like, he's always just kind of there. It kind of reminded me of Castle, how like, Beckett would like be on a case and Castle would just like happen to show up or like already be there. Yeah. At least in the first like few seasons or whatever.
Yeah, there were quite a few moments that kind of reminded me of like Castle.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when you look up this show on Google, Castle comes up as like other people have watched this.
That's funny.
Yeah. But then, Tracy's quiet, and it's shared that she's been quiet and emotional until she kind of like chuckles at her boss, who then unleashes on her when she's talking to Patrick, which I didn't like, because don't yell at Mekia's characters, please. Like, no.
Yeah. This is like the first time she wasn't like super tough right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like her character. It was interesting to see her play someone meeker, maybe.
Yeah. Because even like when Mekia was in Chicago Med, like she was still like tough. Like she had a tough exterior for being a doctor. Like, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but it shared that Dinkler made Tracy and Drake go into the vault once it was open, and like, well, he shoveled the money into the bag. And then he locked Tracy and Drake in the vault, probably to suffocate them. And Tracy, shares that like he knew that there was ventilation and that they'd be all right. And then her boss talks down to her and like belittles her, and I'm just like, nope, don't like that. No. And she shares that Dinkler was a good person, wouldn't want to hurt anyone. So while Patrick's talking to Drake, getting the overview of what Dinkler did, Patrick then locks him back into the vault. I mean, he kind of deserved it, like, honestly. I don't know. So then Rigsby and Van Pelt are showing Tracy like a sheet of some CDs that were in Dinkler's car, containing the client transactions from the past 2 months. And so it turns out that he must have gotten them from the vault, and like not even the people that work there are allowed to see those sheets. So it was interesting how he, one, knew where they were, and two, how he got them. So Tracy then gets emotional, saying that Ellen just kept apologizing when like he first came in, and she didn't know what was going on and why he kept saying like he was sorry. And Patrick then tells her that like she can go home, and she apologizes that she wasn't more helpful. And like you said, it was interesting to see Mekia kind of play this role, because even though she had like one little scene, she wasn't as like tough and like outspoken as like her other characters have been. So Jane then says that he knows like the real motive for the robbery, saying that Dinkler like left as much as he took, and half as much again. And then like he just left it there in the vault. So he comes to the conclusion that the killer must have told him that the money wasn't the object, and to steal like the real thing, the real item, which was a list of customers on the CDs that he took. So, like he hasn't figured out why the killer would want the CDs, but that's more important than the money in this case. So Van Pelt comes in, says that Dinkler's car was nearly full with gas. So now, like, the real question is why did he stop at that gas station then? And then at this point, we had Craig, who was Eric Winter, walk by, and like he wants to talk to Van Pelt. And he says, I was across the street for a prelim and wanted to say hi. And he tells her that some break will come in the case. He even has like a nice little surprise for her, which is kind of a pre-wedding gift. And he opens a box, and it's a necklace, and he shares that it was his mother's. Okay, this is like the only little bit that we had of Eric in this episode, but like, I don't know. It was what I want for Tim Bradford, really.
I just had like so many questions. And it was just like none of them really got answered, but I was oddly okay with it.
What were the questions?
Well, just like I had no idea. I was like, oh, okay, she like Grace is like engaged and like there's like wedding stuff going on. I was like, oh, okay. Like there's just all this stuff. And then just well, since like I know Amanda Rigetti from the OC, it was so
she was also
hilarious.
in Chicago Fire.
Oh yeah, that's
Did you know
right.
that? Yeah.
Yeah. It was just so funny to me to like see her. And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh right. Her okay. She like Eric Winter plays her fiance. That's so fun.
Yeah, it was well, and Eric was like in a suit, and I mean, obviously, we said last episode like we want him in a suit again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting to see him as like a lawyer, is what I'm saying. Yeah. And it was cute to see like their dynamic because they weren't an angsty relationship because they're engaged to get married. Like I don't know, she was just all excited to see the surprise. He was excited to give it to her. Like it was just cute. And then
they seem solid.
And Lisbon like walks by and like tells her, like, hey, we need you to do this. And she's like, okay, no problem, boss. And then like later in the episode, Van Pelt's like, your bridesmaid dress is ready. And Lisbon just does not look like she wants to partake in the wedding festivities, which is interesting because I didn't get the feeling that they were like enemies, but I got the feeling that like Lisbon wanted to very much keep that like work balance and like I'm your boss, you're my subordinate.
Yeah, I just didn't really like they weren't like you said, they weren't enemies, but I also didn't really get the vibe that they were friends.
Yeah.
So I was just like a little confused, had questions.
Yeah. So then Jane and Lisbon are back at the gas station. They find out that Dinkler asked for the restroom key. And so they go into the bathroom to find a string of numbers with Windsor after it. And so now they're on a mission to find out what that means. So they like go back to the district and they end up finding addresses with a string of numbers and Windsor in it, and everyone like struck out on their locations when they were looking at them or looking like traveling to them. But not finding anything to tie back to Dinkler. And Lisbon, when Jane calls, Lisbon's like, yeah, I have one last location to check out, and it's in an old high school. And Jane's like, well, what if you need backup? And she, says, I'm gonna call for backup then. Because it's kind of like a dicey area. And so he ends up going and hears a loud thud when he gets there. He finds Lisbon like on the ground. And she wakes up and has a bomb vest on. So that's nice. And I feel like because I watched this on HBO Max, if there was commercials, the commercial would cut right there, like for sure. So he then like helps her get out of it and she talks him through it. And the cell phone starts ringing and they both jump. Like she is mortified. She's just wondering, like she's freaked out. And so the phone is in her vest, and she's not sure if she should answer it. She's kind of like, we shouldn't answer it. And Jane's like, well, but like, we don't know if this is the bomber or not. Like, we should answer it. And she's kind of wondering like if it'll set off the bomb. And Jane's like, there's no way to know. So they end up answering it. And it is the bomber on the phone. He wants to like go to he wants them to go to the CBI and obtain cash. Obtain the 2 cash emotion discs from the evidence storage. He doesn't know that Jane is there until Jane like speaks. So the bomber is like, you have 30 minutes, and then once you get the CDs, I'll tell you how to disarm the bomb. So once the bomber hears Jane, he wants Jane to join them or join Lisbon on this. So Jane's like, what can we call you? And he avoids that. He also has a couple of other ground rules. They can't alert anyone to the situation, and they have to keep the line open. And if they don't follow the rules, he'll detonate the bomb. So then we see Jane and Lisbon at the CBI, or so we think. And he's unlocking the door because, like, while they're driving, like, they're kind of getting more hints. And he's unlocking the door. And while he's doing that, he kind of he talks to her, kind of stalling. But he's like, if this doesn't turn out well, like, there's something that I've been wanting to tell you for a while. and she's like, are you sure that this is the right time? And the bomber can obviously hear them because the line is open. And I don't know, his facial expression didn't show that he was kind of getting pissed off, but you could kind of tell that he was like getting antsy. And they're stalling until the door breaks down and they bust in. So the bomber's like, I'll detonate the bomb and you'll die. And then Jane's like, and so will you. So he basically has two choices. He can disarm the bomb or die there with them. So they end up like working together as a team. They kind of like fake out the bomber because she's like, leave, Jane, like this is an order. And he's like, I'm not going anywhere. So they take the bomber down, and when they meet with the rest of the team, they share that he wouldn't tell them why he did what he did. But there's a reason behind everything that he did. So they put the bomber in the car, and he ends up getting one hand out of the cuffs. And he ended up trying to escape, but was shot dead in the car. Because like Jane and Lisbon are like walking away, talking, arguing, and then they hear the gunshot. So yeah. Then we find out Jane knew, like, we find out how Jane knew that it was the gas station attendant, because when they're in the car and they're, they're listening to the bomber and they're kind of like whispering, talking, like almost fighting in a way, she keeps writing down like question marks, and he then like makes like a quick sharp right turn, and they're on a different path than to the CBI. So Jane realizes that the bomber could speak directly to Dinkler, and he knew that there was no need to leave Dinkler a message. So the bomber could have told him where to go, just like he did to Lisbon. But the message was fake, and the question of why Dinkler stopped at the gas station was answered, which was to deliver the customer list. So Dinkler was probably told to like wait in his car until someone would approach him, but then it went wrong, obviously. So when Dinkler got out of his car and the cops approached him, the attendant ran back into the gas station and triggered the bomb. Which it was cool to see, like, kind of the flashbacks, like what happened, like before the bombing. So, and then the list wound up in evidence. So the attendant set up a trap, leaving a simple code for the CBI to find, knowing that he could get the agent to retrieve the list for him. So Bertram was like, he asked what was so important about those client lists. And at this point, Lisbon's like, we're still trying to figure that out, because there's a lot of customers on the list, but, we're going through them. And Bertram's like, well, the case is closed pretty much because, the bomber is killed. And yeah. So then they get a call that someone else was killed by the bomber, like well before, the bombing even really happened. And they figure out that this is what the bomber used to find Dinkler. And it was also determined that the bomber in this case is connected to Hightower, who is a fugitive and killed two people, nearly killed Jane as well. So when they find out, like, Jane and Lisbon bolt because, and they're like, we were never here. And Kimball, who works, closely with Lisbon and everything, is all confused, but he's just told to keep quiet. So it turns out that Red John is behind the bombs and he's on the Hightower, and that they have to warn her, but they don't know how. So then at the end of the episode, Jane goes back into like a hotel room and he hears like water leaking from the faucet. He goes to shut it off and he's like, who's here? And it was Hightower with a gun, like outside of his bathroom. So that was the cliffhanger for hour one of the 2-hour finale. So yeah,
it was a lot.
It was a lot, and it was interesting. Like, I don't know, I mean, this episode was case heavy, and it was nice to kind of see, like, it wasn't just a one and done case. Like, it was kind of like going on. Maybe it's because it was the season finale, but also like this Red John, I mean, had something to do, and like with every episode, it seems like. So yeah, but that's just kind of like the general like overview of the episode, because it was a lot, and like there wasn't that much Erica Mekia stuff as like I thought, because I've only really watched the episode like up until Mekia, like Eric showed up, so I didn't really this was the first time that I'd watched like the full episode, because I mainly like I'll do that sometimes. I'll just go in and like see what like previous like what actors have done previously. But it was interesting to just see like the little parts that they had and how like Craig was like connected to the CBI. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna kind of do like how we usually do, like we'll do our general thoughts a little bit, and then go into like, you know, similarities or little parallels with like Jennifer, and then like things we maybe want to have happen on the Rookie that like happen on the Mentalist. But like I don't know, I just thought it was like so bizarre to like see, well, like that Alan was played by Jesse Lee Soffer, and it was just funny to see him as like a quote unquote bad guy, but like his character is like really like a victim in the situation, and like just so like he's like the like I don't know like what to call like a I don't know like
he's like a scapegoat like, in a way, right?
Kind of, yeah, but it's like point like like kind of like 0.0 like, and then just everything is like leaving out like from his like unfortunate demise. And I don't know, like I kind of wish there was like an actual like that they showed the like part of like Alan making like Tracy and Drake go into the vault, so we could have had like a Jesse and Mekia scene, but that's just me being particular. Well, because like their names were listed next to each other on like the little guest star list, so that was fun.
When I first watched this episode, like because I wanted to just see like the part that Jesse was in, I didn't know that Mekia and Eric were in it. So when I saw their names roll across together, I was like, oh, okay, this is fun.
And it's just kind of funny that like Mekia's character is like named Tracy.
Oh my god, I never even thought of that.
Fun, random Chicago PD little connections. But also that, oh my god, I just thought it was so hilarious when Patrick locked Drake in the vault, because he was like, yep, okay, see you later, like he just left. It was just great. And
then he didn't really tell anyone that like he had done that, did he?
No, because Drake, like later you just see it's like, hello, hello, like anyone there. And so again, I knew Amanda Rigetti was a part of the Mentalist. I just forgot, and like it was just fun because she played Haley on the OC. No one else probably watches that show, but if anyone ever has, good for you, because it's a great show. But yeah, so that was just fun because she looks about the same too, and it was just so funny. Like I had no idea that like Eric was gonna be like her character's like fiance. Like that was so fun to me.
When I first watched this episode, I saw her and I was like, I know her from somewhere. Like I just know her. And so then where do I go? Like IMDb to look her up, and I'm like, she was in Chicago Fire. That's why. Like I always have that. Like I'm like, this character looks very familiar. I know that this actor has been in something that I've watched before. So
and I just thought it was like kind of, well, like you had mentioned it earlier, like Craig like is like a lawyer type character, and so it's like just interesting how like, because like on Secrets and Lies, like Neil was like working at the firm, and so it's just like interesting how like he's like kind of like Eric usually plays a guy in like a suit or like a uniform, so whenever he's like guest starring on things, and like for me anyway, like I saw like a few like Castle like parallels, because like, well, at least in the specific episode that we had watched, like Castle had Beckett standing on like the trigger plate, and like Castle had to like help her out of it, and then like the Mentalist had Lisbon in the like in the vest, and Jane has to help her out of it.
I never even thought of that.
And I also just want to know like Lisbon like specifically praying the Hail Mary. I just want to know if she's like Catholic. I'm assuming she is because she had like the patron saint like necklace.
Well, even Jane was like, she's just praying, and if I had someone to pray to too, I would do the same.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it was just crazy. Like Gupta with the voice machine was like so creepy. I just hate like things like that. Like it freaks me out sometimes. So it was creepy.
The way that they were like showing it, and then I was like, okay, who is this? And then I saw like a brief shadow of him, and I was like, it's the gas station dude. And I was just like, wow, this took a turn that I did not think that it would.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just felt, I mean, I felt bad for poor Alan. Like he was so young. Well, like, young, and he was just like, like a pawn kind of in this like bigger like grand scheme of things. And I think I just made me feel bad for Jesse Lee Soffer after everything that's happened in the Chicago PD fandom this week. So I think that's why
I'm still unwell. Like we did not plan this.
No.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of why. But just like there were like a lot of moving parts in this specific episode, and like there were a couple places where like I didn't quite understand how like things happen. Like I wish they would have shown a little bit more of like how Teresa got, I mean, I guess they didn't want to reveal like who the person was right away, but still they could have done it like elaborate with like shadow, or just seen like an arm or a whatever. Like I just wanted to know how Teresa got placed in the bomb vest instead of just a thud and then hello, here's Patrick.
I feel like they could have done it kind of like how they did with Pretty Little Liars, like when A was like messing with them. But no, it was interesting, and like I said, it was interesting to see how like the beginning of the episode kind of took place at the end, like with flashbacks and when they were like recapping and everything. So
and then just like how exactly like she and Patrick found the room that he was in. Like I don't know, it was just like, I guess maybe if we watch part 2, maybe they'll like a little bit more. I don't know. But it kind of seemed like that part anyway was like done, because even the guy was like at the end they were like, okay, this is like case is like done, like they're good. And so I feel like maybe part 2 would focus more on like Hightower and stuff, which I'm sure that ending would have made more sense to me had I known like the full like history of that whole thing.
I also feel like maybe they found the room that Gupta was in because like he wasn't talking necessarily, but like he kind of was, because he was kind of like, let me know when you get to the door or whatever. But it was interesting how they like found out which room he was in. So
but I mean, it was a cool thing, definitely different. I'd never watched an episode of The Mentalist in my life, so it was fun.
I remember it being on like more when I had cable, but I think it was more like reruns at that point.
Like I remember
USA
seeing
and stuff, I think.
Like seeing brief like things like on commercials or something, like for a new episode of The Mentalist, because it was on, like it finished up not too long ago.
Right.
So
I mean, there were a few parallels that I had for like the Rookie and The Mentalist, but it was more so just like parallels overall, not so much like Chenford, but it was like how like when Van Pelt was saying like, oh yeah, your bridesmaid's dress is ready for pickup and all that, and like Lisbon's look, I don't know, I kind of got like Angela Lopez and Nyla Harper vibes off that, because she was kind of like, she wasn't disgusted, but she was kind of like, why did I do this? And like annoyed in a way. And then even at the end, like when she tries on the dress and then like Jane walks in and everything, and he's like, I asked her to make you a bridesmaid because I knew how much you would hate it, and you look very great, like it's a very feminine dress or whatever. I got some like Castle vibes off of that, because I don't know, Jane just reminded me of Castle, and I was like, you're just kind of annoying to me. But then I also kind of got like some Angela and Tim like Man of Honor vibes.
That's what I have. Like when Patrick saw Teresa in the dress, I was like, oh yeah, it's like when Angela had the 911.
Oh yeah, Tim, and then I didn't even see that. so there was that. And then even just like Craig stopping by to see Van Pelt, like, you know, on the like during the day, it was very much like Lopez. And I was like,
well, as soon as you start saying that, I was like, oh yeah, it's like Lopez, like Wesley stopping by.
Yeah,
for sure.
And he's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
trippy.
Yeah, right.
Awesome.
So yeah, those were kind of my parallels. I mean, for me, it was kind of hard to see, not necessarily because like Eric and Mekia weren't in a lot of it, like they weren't, but it was just very much more procedural and like more of a crime drama than like The Rookie is. So yeah, but it was good. It was good to watch. So
yeah. Tim Bradford would have totally pulled like a Patrick Jane and locked the guy in the vault though, and like been like sassy throughout the questioning at like the cash motion place.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun. Can I also just say though that like Patrick's last name being Jane like throws me off so much.
I know. I kept thinking that it was a female that they were talking about. I don't know.
Throws me off so much because even like my description on HBO Max was just like, you know, Jane finds out and I'm like, isn't the main like the lead like a guy like, you know, Simon Baker? I was like, what is this? Like I was so confused. But anyway, so aside from that, I don't know, there were just like little things like the wedding stuff reminded me of, you know, like Tim talking to Angela, you know, just like getting ready for like the wedding and like the man of honor stuff like you had said. And I don't know, really the only like kind of Chenford thing was like the kind of like the scavenger hunt comments, like Patrick getting like excited about that.
Yes.
But then like Lucy would totally be like Lisbon in the situation because like she was like, okay, and like I got this, like you don't have to do it, like I got it. And like Lucy was so excited in the Poetic Justice episode to like, you know, solve everything and like just like kind of took off. And like their banter kind of reminded me of Chenford a little bit. So yeah, but I mean really just like I don't know. And then just like oddly like another kind of offbeat thing was like Patrick roaming around like the school in the dark kind of reminded me of like Brolin in like 405, just like wandering around in the dark theater. And then like hearing something and then going to investigate. Obviously it's one person instead of two, but it's kind of the same idea.
Yeah,
I don't be vibes.
The scavenger hunt also kind of reminded me of, and we only watched like an episode of Castle, but I got this vibe because I've seen like other episodes, like random ones here and there, of Castle too, and like how, you know, Castle would just kind of show up or like kind of beat Beckett to the punch. So I don't know. I definitely got, and the Castle was obviously produced and created and you know everything by the people who do The Rookie. So I don't know. I feel like I was able to draw like Castle, The Rookie kind of parallels. So and then of course we have a wish list for The Rookie because, you know, we always want to see different things on there. So I mean, listen, we talked about it last episode about seeing Eric in a suit more. And I'm just reiterating it. Like we need to see that. At this point, like it wouldn't be canon for it to be Tim Bradford. Because I mean, I guess unless he was going to court one day, we saw Gray in a suit going to court. But I would love to see Tim Bradford in a suit, like undercover or something. Obviously, I mean, I guess he could go undercover as Dim in a suit, but I don't think that would happen. So
that'd be funny.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said before, like this episode was kind of hard to outline just because there was so much going on. But it might have also been because we kind of came in at the end of season 3, so we were like right in the middle of the show anyway. But there was still a lot that you had to like pay attention to, and I would like that for The Rookie. There's some episodes like where you really have to pay attention to like what's going on. But there's not like many, and there's not many like case heavy episodes. And I think that's just how like the Mentalist is in general. So it would be interesting to see like more of a case heavy episode, even like a couple of case heavy episodes like in a row. And then obviously have a little bit of comedy in there, you know, kind of sprinkle through throughout. So another thing that I kind of noticed, and this I guess is more like a Chenford parallel, but I got the sense that Lisbon and Jane were the enemies to lovers trope. Like they probably were, but in season 3 it was like very evident that they were. And that kind of reminded me of Chenford in the beginning, because like she was very much like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna do this, and Tim was, I don't know, I don't want to say like enemy in the sense of like he didn't want her to succeed, but he wanted to challenge her. And so that kind of made him be the enemy in a way. But to me, Jane was just like annoying, and Tim was just more stubborn. So
nowhere near like Richard. It like literally, okay, here's the tier, at least in my opinion. It's like Richard Castle, top tier of annoyance.
Yeah.
Patrick Jane. And then way down at the bottom, you got like Tim, because John Nolan's before Tim.
Yeah, John Nolan's like in the middle somewhere. Yeah. Our friend Lauren might be like, why did you call Richard Castle annoying? But she also might agree. So
yeah.
But yeah, so, and then I also thought that it would be interesting for the rookie, like if they followed a case or a suspect for a long period of time. Like we saw that with like Rosalind, we saw that with the La Fiera, and we kind of saw that in the backdoor pilot of the Rookie Feds. Like, but it would be cool to see it again, and more of an intense case, like where they're following it. I don't even need it to be for like the first like half of the season. Like just give it to me for like maybe 5 episodes. And have the storyline kind of like affect someone else. But yeah, so that was kind of my like wish list for the rookie.
I had like a few things kind of in like a similar vein. Like I don't know, like when you had mentioned like the backdoor pilot like being like a parallel, like for me I could kind of see like kind of like similar, like I can't speak. Wow. Following a criminal for a long period of time, but then also just like I know they did like the virus episode in like season 1, like that was the finale. That was kind of like a mass like crisis situation, kind of like something like that, maybe. Like, I mean, it doesn't have to be like a a bomb strapped to vest type episode. But just like kind of just like like you have to like jump through a bunch of hoops to figure out like who's behind it all. Much like they did with like the season 1 finale, or like how they did with the Feds crossover. So
I mean, I also wouldn't be opposed to seeing like a bomb strapped to someone. This sounds so bad to say, like a bomb like strapped to someone, but obviously it's disarmed. But like seeing how someone else would like go about like taking care of it.
Of course, they did that thing where like Jessica came in and like did that, and like everyone had to try to like get her to disarm it. So
I mean, I would not trust John Nolan around that to like disarm one. So let's have like,
although he was the one that like won the challenge. So Jessica doing that. So
but I don't really want to see him try and disarm a bomb again. Like give it to Nyla or Angela. I mean, even like Lucy, I feel like Lucy could really figure it out.
Well, because like remember in season 4, like the episode where he like he was still holding the grenade or whatever, and then like Lucy was like, "Can you take that outside?" Like, move.
And he's like running. I'm like, come on.
So maybe he is a little bit like not like spazzy, but just like doesn't
really like think things. Like think things through. I mean, listen, John Nolan, you're a special character, and like we love you, like you're the star, but also
like no hate, like we just have a few concerns,
a few things that he could do a little better with, I guess. And one of them is getting explosives away from the situation. So
and I don't know, just like it's like there was like that and then I don't know, like, because it sounds kind of bad to say too, like, 'cause I don't really want like a forced like moment where like Chenford's kind of like forced to like say their feelings or like start to say something, but like it was just interesting that they had like, you know, Patrick start to do that to Lisbon in The Mentalist. And like I don't know, because like I feel like though in a way that like, because both of them were kind of stubborn in their feelings, so I almost feel like a kind of situation where they would, you know, last moments on Earth type thing, like, you know, like the thing in 206, like if that were to actually like be like for real, like a, you know, missile threat, like that kind of thing, like maybe that would finally just be the catalyst to like, you know, push them to, you know, confess or whatever.
But I also wonder, like, and we would probably get this answer if like we had kept watching The Mentalist and like later on down the road. But I wonder if like she ever brought that back up. Yeah. Or like if it was reciprocated or something. Like, I don't know. Part of me thinks that it would, but then I'm also like, I don't know. It could have just been like a plot device in a way. So
yeah.
But I definitely got the enemies to lovers trope in that. Like, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did like get together.
Yeah. And then just like this similar thing, even though it was kind of like a device to like distract Gupta from everything, it was like, you know, still like Patrick's not leaving Teresa. So another, you know, castle parallel, because, you know, Richard was not going to leave Kate at all. No. So yeah, and just I don't know, just like more sassy moments on the Rookie, and like more of their like personal lives mentioned at like, you know, in the workplace too, because it worked well on The Mentalist, and I feel like they could add more of that in on the Rookie. So
yeah I don't know, this episode was just interesting. Like I said, I thought that there would be more Eric and Mekia in it.
So we apologize if you were expecting more, because we kind of were too.
But also like just knowing that they were like in the same episode, like they were in like the same orbit kind of, not totally, because it was like different like scenes, obviously, kind of different sets, but they were kind of like in the same orbit. So yeah,
it was just fun.
Yeah, it was.
And we got like, technically, if you want to count like Jessica Crawford, Chicago PD, Amanda Rigetti, Chicago Fire, Mekia Cox, Chicago Med.
Yeah. All before when Chicago was like a huge thing. So yeah.
Perfect.
Which I will totally take.
Yes.
But yeah, so if you want to watch The Mentalist, it is available on HBO Max, the Roku channel, Prime Video, and Apple TV. And like we said, it's 7 seasons and it's hour-long episodes, so it's a long show. And like for this one episode, I was like, oh my gosh, like it's just a lot. So yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be as easy of a binge as like The Rookie would be, but I'm sure, you know, like people have definitely been shed. So if you liked this episode of Shop Talk, you can leave us a rating and a review. It would really help out the podcast and we would love it. You can also find us on Twitter at the Shop Talk Pod _, or email us at shoptalktherookiepodcast@gmail.com with all of your thoughts. You can find us individually on Twitter. I'm at jstark804.
And I'm at Carrie Hyman.
And that's it for us. We'll be back next week with our season 5 wish list episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Go get 'em, boo.